Om Sadashivasamārambhām Vyāsaśaṅkaramadhyamām Asmadācāryaparyantāम् Vande Guruparamparaम् Śrutismritipurāణānaम् Ālayam Karuణālayam Namāmi Bhagavadpādam Shaṅkaram Lokashaṅkaram Shaṅkaram Shaṅkarācāryam Keshavam Bādarayanam Sutrabhāṣakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitam Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. So until the previous class, we looked up to verse number 26. And this particular section is called the Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. And we saw that how one who has got unswerving dedication or Abhicharana Bhaktihi, correct? Abhicharana Bhaktihi, Bhakti Yogena Sevate. So the one who has got Bhakti Yoga, the one who seeks, worships, seeks, and the one who is having properly crossed the gunas, correct? Gunan atitaha. So the one who has crossed the gunas. So crossing the gunas means not like, dropping the gunas. Or you cannot say that I don't have this guna anymore. You still have the gunas. We still have sattva guna, raja guna, tama guna. But we understand the importance of each of them and we know what it can do for us. So developing the right quality, right gunas is important. So increasing the right quality of sattva guna and reducing raja guna and avoiding tama guna or keeping to the minimum is important. So rajasic guna, all these are important because the gunas are what? They are part of our structure. We cannot do anything without it. And these are the one which actually helps us perform the activities also. Right? So, but a person understands this limitations of this, the characters of each of them, and then the one who crosses them or manages them. Right? Such a person becomes Brahma Bhuyaya. So he is fit for becoming Brahman or studying Brahma Vidya. So Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. This is what is saw. Right? He is fit for being Brahman. So being Brahman means what? He is a person who is actually ready for taking ownership as the Swayam Siddhaha, you can say, or self. The knowledge of truth is attained. So he is a very happy person because he doesn't get affected by all these gunas. So very important, that particular thing there. Then in 27, he gives more qualities. Brahmano hi patishtaham amatasya avyayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukasya aikantikasya cha. So he gives a few more qualities. So the first one is amritasya. So amritasya avyayasya cha. So amritasya means I am actually immortal. So having claimed ownership in the previous verse that he is eligible for becoming Brahman or being Brahman, now the person can confidently say that I am actually immortal. So immortal, when you say, it means what? Understanding that you are not the physical body mental complex. Mortal is only for the body and which is something which is cannot be avoided. So as long as you got a physical body, whether you are a jnani or a jnani or anybody, death is certain, the body will go because it is a product of the matter. And anything which is related to the matter will become matter again. This matter comes out of matter, grows out of matter, it declines and becomes matter again. So you have not lost anything there. Because the source is matter, its destination also is matter. But the consciousness which he talked about, the Brahman he talked about, is above this matter. So when a person claims ownership which is above this particular matter or the object which you're talking about, then he becomes Amritasya. So Amritasya means it is a cognitive thing, it's not a physical thing. Nobody can be immortal physically. But when we say immortality is talking from the point of that which is not subject to any change, not subject to any decline, not subject to any growth or any dirt, impurity, those kind of things. Right? So it's called Amritasya. Then, so Brahmano Hi means that Brahmana indeed. So that Brahmano Hi means what? That Brahman indeed. He, the word he means indeed. So the word indeed, that Brahman indeed is Pratishta Aham. Correct. So the Pratishta means what? The basis. So I am the basis. So that Brahman is the basis and I am the basis of everything, or I am the existence of everything, you can say that. And being the existence of everything in this universe, I am Amritasya. Therefore, I am actually immortal. So when you become the source of everything, then you are not worried about everything because everything is below you. And you are above everything else. So you are definitely Amritaha. So it's Amritasya. Then Avyayascha. See, Avyayam, when we say here, it means that which is not subject to change. So Amritam, Avyayam, all these words are Vedantic words. It describes the vision of the truth of Brahman. Right? Avyayam. Then you have Sarvagatam. Right? Sarvagatam. Sarvagatam, that pervades everything. It's not here, but Sarvagatam means that which pervades everything. It's called Sarvagatam. Sarvam, Sarvagatam. All these words mean what? That which is everything and it pervades everything. Right? Then Shashvatascha. So Shashvatam means that which is eternal, that which is eternal. And what is eternal? Dharmasya. So the dharma which is there is eternal. The truth which is talked about in the Vedas is eternal. That's what we call Shashvatam. It doesn't say one thing today, it doesn't say anything tomorrow. So the Bhagavad Gita, when you study 5,000 years ago, or even if you study even after 3 years after this, the same verse will be there, the same explanation will be there, the same unfolding will be there. There will be no change because it is not subject to change. You cannot say that I got a new way of teaching now or something new I'm adding now and I'm going to do it in a different way. You can do Bhashyam, etc. more elaborately you can do. But it is still the same philosophy, the same message is conveyed, the same mantra is there, nothing can be altered. You cannot modify anything there because it is not subject to change. The same way when the text itself, which is an object of knowledge, the person writing the text or the source of the text itself is Bhagavan. So such a Bhagavan is not subject to change. Right? So that's why it says here, Shashvatascha, Dharmasya, Dharmasya, Sukhasya. So Sukha means what? Happiness. So which is the nature of happiness. So Sukhasya. So 3 things are given here. Amritasya, Avyayasya, Sarvatasya, Dharmasya, Sukhasya, then Aikantikasya. So Aikantikasya means that which cannot be negated. So you cannot negate this. You cannot say that I am not this. Can you negate yourself saying that I am not there at all? You always say I am there. You can never negate the knower. Because if you negate the knower, then who is supposed to be telling you who is? So you cannot negate the knower. The knower always will be always there. Correct? The knower can be resolved into consciousness, saying that the knower, the status knower is gone. Correct? So when I say nan yar, when I say the nan indicates what is the knower. So the status nan of I is actually also a title or status at a particular point of time. So you can never negate or you can never say that I don't exist, because when you say I don't exist, who is the person saying I don't exist? The knower. That's why it says here aikantikasya. So you can never negate this particular Brahman. Neither you can adopt Brahman. It is not like somebody accepting a child halfway or somebody taking up something, picking up skill like this. Because it is not, Brahman is not an object to be picked up on the way. I will pick up this knowledge something on the way. I'll become Brahman sometime halfway. Then if I feel I'll drop it. No. You cannot do anything, because the picking up and dropping is also happening in what? In consciousness only. So the person can never negate Brahman. That's why in the Kena Upanishad also mantra we have Maham Brahma Nirakurya, Mama Brahma Nirakarot. So Ma Aham Brahma Nirakurya. So let me not negate Brahman. And Mama Brahma Nirakarot. And let that Brahman not negate me. See, Maham Brahma Nirakurya, Mama Brahma Nirakarot. Anirakaranamastanirakaranam me astu. Tadatmanirate ya upanishassu dharmaste mai santu, te mai santu. Same concept. The prayer is what? We used to say that I should never negate Brahman. I must not negate myself. Neither the consciousness should negate me. Because both are not possible. Same thing says here, aikantikasya. So, Brahmano hi pratishta aham amritasya abhyasya sarva sasvatasya dharmasya sukasya aikantikasya cha. Right? So sukam is there, and then avyayam is there. Right? So all the qualities are given here. Right? So the conclusion or the message given in this chapter is that once a person rises above the three gunas, or the person becomes the mastery over the gunas, such a person is eligible to be Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpade. He becomes eligible for taking ownership as Brahman and continue to be in the state for a lengthy period of time, for a very, very long time. It is not that the person becomes Brahman and suddenly he says, I am not Brahman anymore. He cannot say. See, it can happen when you're a rich person. You can become rich one day and suddenly you can say, I don't have any money. But in terms of this particular philosophy, if you say that I have gained happiness, I have discovered true happiness, then you cannot say tomorrow that I forgot what happiness is. Because you already discovered happiness. And when you discovered something already there, how can you forget or how can you drop that thing? Because it is part and parcel of you now, it is not separate from you. It is possible only when that discovery happiness is something momentary. Example, the happiness which you get out of any activity, any experience, or any Shakti or miracle or anything which is there, they are all temporary. They are happiness driven by action which is time bound. But here we are not talking about time bound happiness. We are talking about Nirantar Sukham. So Sukhasya here means Nirantar Sukham or lifelong happiness. Right? Such a person becomes eligible. He is the one who is discussed here. Okay? So with this we have concluded this chapter, chapter 14. It's probably the smallest chapter in the Bhagavad Gita. This next one is much smaller, but this is also one of the smallest chapters. But because the gunas are talked about elaborately, in subsequently also in chapter 18. Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Dharma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Gunatraya Vibhaga Yogo Nama Chaturdashodhyayaha. Chaturdashaha means 14. Dashaha means 10. Chatur means 4. Chaturdasha Adhyayaha. Means the 14th Adhyaya, the 14th section is over. So in this chapter, I'll give you the main verses which you should recollect is verse number 5. Sattvam rajas tama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha nibadnanti mahabaho dehe dehi namavyayam. So this is the first chapter, verse number 5. You can also refer this in chapter 3, verse number 27 and 28. If you want to go back and refer, there is an equal reference in chapter 3, verse number 27 and 28. Then, verse number 7, verse number 8. Verse number 19. Nanya gunebhyaha kartaram yada drishtanu pashyati gunebhyascha param veti madbhavam so adhikachyati. So that means a person who is samashti or samadrishtihi, correct? Drishtan anupashyati. Gunebhyascha param veti madbhavam so adhikachyati. So he will attain me all the time. So nanya gunebhyaha kartaram. So the one who understands this. And Jadha Drashtan Anupashyati. He sees very clearly. Pashyati means see, and Anupashyati means sees very, very clearly. That person who is beyond the gunas, na anya gunebhyaha. So, the one who is beyond the 3 gunas is free from all these things. Then, verse number 20 also is important. You can refer to chapter number 2. Verse number 13. So, chapter number 2, verse number 13. Also, you can refer to chapter number 13, verse number 31. So, because the Krishna keeps talking about all these things intermittently also. Verse number 31. Then, verse number 21. He talks about the status of the Sthita Pragyaha. So, where he says, Kim Acharam Katam. So, Arjuna is asking, how is this person? Correct? So, this person who has crossed the 3 gunas, what type of person he will be? How do we identify the person? Right? Right. And how this person crosses the 3 gunas. So it's been discussed. So the same also is talked about in the Sthita Pragyaha in chapter 2, verse number 54 and 56. Chapter 2, verse number 54 and 56. Then 22 also is important. Prakasam cha pravritim cha mohameva cha pandava na dveshti sampravrittani na nivrittani kankshati. So it gives the qualities of the person, correct? The one who is not expecting anything, or the one he doesn't have any expectation, or those kind of things. Correct? So then 24 is also important. When we talk about samadukkaha, sukha swastaha, samaloshta, kanchanaha, tulya, priya, apriyo, dhirastulya, ninda, sanstutihi. Right? Atma Samsutihi. So, same thing in chapter 2, verse number 56. Verse number 56. Then in verse number 26, he talks about the Abhicharani Bhakti, Avyabhicharana Bhakti. That means the person who has got interest in other things. It means he's not interested, in worldly activities. He is only very focused on this activity. Other activities are important, but the preference is actually for wherever possible, he or she will actually divert the attention only for this. So if there's a choice between going to the park or the beach or going for a long weekend and attending a Bhagavad Gita class, so what would you prefer? See, it's a difficult question. Because when the difficulty happened, because somebody asked me today actually when I went there, see, we are very thankful that you came, especially Ningala Vandirkal. Actually, Nangala, I told I didn't come anything. I told I don't go anywhere. So you don't, so don't worry about it. I'm not going anywhere because I'm always grounded forever. I don't go anywhere because nobody calls me and nobody even does any programs with me or anything, or asking people to go out or anything like this. And I got classes every day. I got classes, so I'm always here. So you can call me anytime, whenever you want. I will come. For this kind of activities, I'll come. These are all nice activities. Somebody is doing puja, somebody is benefiting, and they are respecting us as a Vaidika, as a guru, as a teacher, somebody, and they ask you to come and they feel blessed. Then what is wrong with that? So you have to prioritize. At the same time, somebody says, "Oh, see, why don't you go for a movie or something like this?" They say, "I've got a Bhagavad Gita class today, so today, excuse me, sir. Today I'll skip." So what it means is that still the priority is not very clear. Still the interest is among variety of activities. So this also becomes what is one of the activities. That is, we'll try. Wherever possible, we'll go. If something very interesting comes, we'll skip this and go there. And then we'll come back and sit there. We'll look at the recording and we'll try to do this. All these things, what it means is this is not called commitment. What it says here is Avyabhicharana Bhakti, means very important word, that Bhakti is there. So the person who is not interested in anything else, அதாவது நாட்டம் இல்லாதவன். So நாட்டம்னா என்ன? Person is interested. So the person is not interested. If somebody says, "You want to come?" No, I'm not interested. If he sees, if there's a class there, or if there's some satsang is there, then he chooses between that time. Because I got this. But if you're free and you don't have anything to do, then you can go. But when this activity which you're already committed to the pursuit of knowledge, and when that particular thing comes, and then you have to choose between the two, and then choose between that which is not the truth. That means it is not called Avyabhicharani Bhakti. It's called Vyabhicharani Bhakti. It means you got natam in everything. You got interest in everything else. It's not fully committed, yes. Okay. So such a person is difficult. He doesn't talk about this. He said, Mam cha yu avyabhicharani bhakti yogena sevate. So the one who is dedicated and only myself. Mam means only me, nobody else. So the one who is sevate here means consistently, always, without any break. Such a person is the one who will be crossing this gunas. And he is the one who will be called Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Right? So very important verse. Then in verse number 27, he gives more qualities about that Brahman, which the person has claimed ownership, is of the nature of Amritaha, Abhyaha, Shashvataha, Dharmaha, Sukhaha, then Aikantikaha. So 6 qualities are given there. Is that clear? So before you go to chapter 15, have you got any questions or anything in chapter 14 so far? Anyone has got any questions? Shrikant ji, are you clear?
Yes.
You are able to follow, right, so far? Okay. Gopal ji, you have got all your notes, everything ready? All written down? I know you are making notes furiously there. So if we all are okay, then we will go to chapter 15. So chapter 15 is supposed to be one of the most important chapters. Like every chapter is important. I always keep saying that. So every chapter is important, and chapter 15 actually occupies a special place in the entire Vedanti culture. Chapter 15 is supposed to be memorized. I think I encourage you all to memorize. In fact, we will be doing this chanting or this particular mantra in every class, so that you know correctly how to chant and you are able to memorize. In the Arshavidya Gurukulam, the Parampara, they serve free food in the hall. So one can take the plate, one can go there, stand in front of the queue, and you can fill whatever you want, and you can come and sit on the table and wait there. You cannot consume the food. You can sit, look at the food, and you cannot eat the food till this whole mantra is chanted. So there is a method of Brahma Pranam Brahma Havihi Yavatami chanted. Then we chant the whole of this chapter 15. Then Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham tu Sarva Papebhyaha Mokhmicha Mashutaha Shuchaha. So it is chapter 18, verse number 72. Something is there. So you have to chant all of them, and then only you are allowed to eat. So this is supposed to be a mantra chanted prior to eating. So before the food is being served. So when you go to India or anything else, they will keep a vada elai, right? And they will first serve payasam on the left. This is also a method of serving food also. You cannot do anything. On the top layer, you're supposed to put all the curry, all the things, everything there. And on the bottom side, on the right hand side, you're supposed to do the payasam. Right? On the left, you're supposed to kill vadai. So there's a method of serving also. The people who know, they know how to serve. You don't put anything anywhere. Right? The same way here also, you have to have a method. So there's a series of chanting to be done there. And this is called Purushottama Yaga. Purusha Uttama. So Purushottama Yoga means the topic of the complete person. So why does this chapter is introduced here? So it says here that this here summarizes the key essence of so far what you have learned. So all the topics which have been learned so far is put in a nutshell, essence, so that we don't forget what you learned before. So all aspects, key aspects are being presented in one verse. Right? And this chapter shows that everything here is the Atma, the consciousness, and it deals with the world, the Jagat, the individual Jiva, and the Paramatma. Right? So, although Arjuna did not ask a question about this one, but the Bhagavan or Shri Krishna himself takes upon the responsibility of saying this. Right? So the first one describes the samsaraha. First verse, samsaraha. So we'll read this mantra. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhmoolamadasyakam Urdhmoolamadasyakam Ashvattam Prahuravyayam Ashvattam Prahuravyayam Urdhmoolamadasyakam Ashvattam Ashwattham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedhavit Yastam Veda Savedhavit Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Moola Madashakam Ashwattham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedhavit. So Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. So the Bhagavan says or said that this talks about the Ashwatha tree. So Ashwatha tree is supposed to be the Arasamaram, the one which is the tree, which is, it's got long roots, correct? The roots of the tree are very long and you do not know where the roots actually end. You see the tree and you think the tree is only this much, and the roots can be spread little, maybe a few meters, and you think there's a tree. But the roots of the tree are already gone many places, many go underground, and further places are there. So one can never trace the root where it's ending. Okay. That's why it says here, Ashwatha, this tree, is Urdhva Moolam. So Urdhva means what? Up. And Moolam means the root. So the tree here is talks about as the inverted tree. So normally the tree is what? You got the leaves, you got the flowers, you got the fruits, you got the branches, you got the bark, and then you got the tree, the trunk, and then it goes under the ground, correct? This is traditional tree we know. But here the tree talks about the ulta, the other way around, where the roots are upwards. So the roots are all going upwards. And it's an inverted tree. So Urdhva Moolam, then Atashakam. So Shaka means what? The branches. Okay. So the branches are actually below. So the trees, you have to imagine, visualize like this. The inverted tree, the roots are pointing upwards. Then the branches are pointing downwards, correct? And this they talk about, right? Prahu means what people talk about it, or it is said like this, that this tree or this particular thing called Avyayam, imperishable. So this tree is imperishable. Avyayam. Prahu means what they say, or it is said. Then, who said this? Chandamsi. So the Chandaha means here the Vedas are the leaves. So you draw a diagram, something like a tree, and you got the roots, correct? They're going upwards. Then you got a tree which is there, and the branches are supposed to be the shakas. So you got Shukla Yajurveda, you got Krishna Yajurveda, Rig Veda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda, all things are there. So they are branches of these things. Then under the branches, they got different Vedas, correct? So the Vedas, the Chandamsi, is the Vedas. So the Vedas are actually under the branch. They are called the leaves. So the leaves is equal to Vedas. The branch is supposed to be the Shaka, correct? So which Shaka you belong, you know, correct? Yajushaka Adhyaye, correct? So Yajushaka Adhyaye means what? Am I from Yajurveda? Shaka Adhyaye means I am studying the Yajurveda Adhyaya, Shaka. Right? So if you do Abhivade, you know, right? Yajushaka Adhyaye. So you say this. Why do you say? Because the person knows that which Shaka you belong. Right? So you belong to Yajurveda or Rig Veda, Atharva Veda. So they tell you Samaveda. Right? So this is called the Chandamsi. Then Yasya. So Chandamsi Yasya means whose. Parnani Chandamsi. So Parnani means here, this leaves which are there supposed to be the Vedas, and Tam Vedasa Vedavit. Yastam Vedasa Vedavit means the Vedavit is supposed to be the one who knows this truth. Vedavit means the one who knows the truth of the Vedas. Atmavit means the one who knows the truth of the Atma. Kritsnavit means the one who knows what is Kritsnam, consciousness. It's called Kritsnavit. Right? So all this vit means it means the holder or the owner or the ruler of the particular philosophy. So Vedavit is supposed to be the one who knows the Vedas, the knower of the Veda. Then Saha means, so Veda Saha Vedavit. So he is called the Vedavit. So which is called Yaha Vedaha Saha Vedavit. So Yastam Vedaha means what? Yaha Vedaha. So that Veda or that Veda which is talked about as leaves here, Chandamsi, is known by this person. It's called Vedavit. Right? So the Ashwatha tree is talked about here. Right? See the roots, when we say the roots are above and the foliage and the branches are below, means what it says here, that the roots actually talk about time. The roots talk about time, which is not perceptible, correct? It is something which is above. See, if something is anything above, you don't know how tall it is. Right? You only see the bottom, correct? You only see the lower level, the fruits, those kind of things, correct? So here the tree is compared as the upside down tree, where the roots are actually pointing upwards, which is infinite in time. Correct? Then from the infinity in time, you got the branches, correct, which is coming down, which is non-object. Then from the branches, you got leaves, which are the Vedas are known, correct? So what it says is the person who knows the truth of the infinity, and from the infinity, how the finite things come to existence, and how the finite things are referred in the Vedas, and who knows the Vedas very well, studies systematically, is called Vedavit. Such a person is actually being talked about here. Right? So with the word Adaha, see where Adashakam. So Adaha talks about what? It is actually in time and space. Right? So they are within time and space. Urdhva Moolam Adashakam. So Adaha means what? The Shaka is actually in time and space. The branches are in space. And the roots are above space because it is actually going above. Urdhva Moolam. Anything which is coming below is below time and space. So the roots are actually beyond time and space. The branches, the leaves, and the flowers, the fruits, etc. are in time and space. So which is limited, correct? So time is limited, space is limited. And the Vedas are supposed to be the foliage. The Chandamsi, Parnani is supposed to be the Vedas. Right? So the tree of samsara, so here, what it says here is that anything below is the samsaric tree. Right? And the Vedas are talked about as Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, and Sama Veda. 3 Vedas are talked about here. So like the leaves which protect the tree. See, the tree itself is known by what leaves, right? If the tree has got no leaves, would you like the tree? You don't like the tree at all. You say, what the tree is? There's nothing there. So for the protection of the tree, for the protection of the samsara itself, the Vedas are supposed to be important. So the Vedas are the one which has got dharma and they protect the tree. So the leaves are supposed to be the Vedas and that protect the humanity, that protect the samsara, the jiva itself, correct? And they are connected with the rituals. Correct? So rituals, because it's got karma kanda and jnana kanda both. But here we are talking only about jnana kanda. Karma kanda is not talking about it. Correct? So you can cut the tree. Correct? You can cut the tree. So when you chop the tree, assuming that you have the trees upwards, correct? You chop the tree, the whole of the one from in time and space can be removed, correct? So all of the leaves, the flowers, the fruits, all can be removed. So the fruits is what? The Vedas talk about the means of knowledge. The fruits talk about the actions which is done through the Vedas, and the fruits are enjoyed by the jivas. Right? So the phalam which is there, the fruit is there, it talks about the results of the action which is being done. And the jivas are supposed to be the one who is there looking at the fruit, and then the fruit comes, he takes it, he enjoys it. He continues to be living samsara. So how you come out of it is by cutting the tree. So the cutting the tree means what? You cut the root of the tree, and all of the things from the accepting the above, you cannot cut the roots from the going above. You can cut anything above, and then the whole thing can come down, correct? So the whole tree of samsara is cut down, right? Because the roots have got no beginning, it is cyclical, it has got, you cannot be cutting the roots at that level itself. So you'll have to cut the tree of samsara with what? With vairagya. Okay. So this particular philosophy is explained because he introduced a topic called samsara here. So samsara is like this tree which is interestingly, poisoningly, temptingly. Leaves are very good. Pachapashel leaves, okay. Let me go after it. Oh, the fruits, the flowers are also very good. Let me go for the flowers. There are very good fruits which are there. So, let me also go for the fruits. So all these are tempting things, correct? And this is all talked about samsara here. But the one who knows this tree with its root as Brahman, he knows the entire structure of the tree itself. So he knows that all these are actually within time and space, and I am really beyond time and space. Right? So he's called Vedavid. Right? That's what he talks about here. So he introduces the topic here, explaining, giving you a picture about a tree. So the tree should not be taken just as tree. The tree is, the roots are taken as the one which is beyond time and space, the roots. The one which is below the roots, they are within time and space. The leaves, the flowers, the fruits, the branches, all of them are within time and space. And you can cut this root from that level, and then the whole thing can collapse. Okay? So all the fruits will be gone, karma phalam is gone, karma is gone, Veda itself is gone, the means of knowledge is gone, because you don't need all of them. When you become a Vedavid, why do you need Vedas? You don't need, everything is here already. You don't need textbooks, you don't need anything else. So it is easy to cut it, correct? Say, Urdha Mula Madashakam, correct? So then in the next verse, he talks about other limbs of the tree, which you'll see. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdha Mula Madashakam Ashwattam Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedhavit. Then Now he elaborately talks about each and everything. First he talks about the roots. So roots are talked about as the Brahman consciousness or above. Then he talks about the branches. Atashrodhvam prasuta tasya shakaha. Ataschordhvam prasuta tasya shakaha. Guna pravardha vishaya pravalaha. guna pravrdha vishaya pravalaha adhaschodhvam prasutastasya shakaha guna pravrdha vishaya pravalaha adascha mulyananusantani adascha mulyananusantani karmanubandhini manushya-loke adascha mulyananusantani karmanubandhini manushya-loke adaschodhvam prasutastasya shakaha guna pravrdha vishaya pravalaha adascha mulyananusantani karmanubandhini manushya-loke. So tasya, so tasya shakaha, so this branches, correct, are what? Guna pravrdha, so they are nourished by the gunas. So the branches are supposed to be the gunas, correct? Then vishaya pravalaha, so what do they do? The gunas, what is the reveal? They have sense of objects as their shoots. So the objects, sense of objects as their shoots. Then below, ada urdhvam cha. So first line, adaha, adas urdhvam cha means below and above. So prasutta means spread out. So prasutta means what? See, it's spread out up and down, correct? And very spread out. Manushya-loke. So this tree is actually, all the branches, etc., is with these gunas, is spread in the Manushya-loka. Right? So Manushya-loke, world of the mortals. And how is it? Adascha mulan. See, adascha means what? Below. Okay. So the roots are spread like this. So the branches are actually spread everywhere. So it talks about a very big tree, Ashwatha tree, which is covering the entire universe. So very big tree. And this big tree has got a lot of branches, which is covering the entire Manushya-loka. And what does the branches contain? Guna pravardha. So they are covered by the gunas. And prasuta tasya shakaha. So prasuta means what? It is spread. So the gunas and is vishayam. Because what does the gunas do? They bring object of knowledge to you, correct? So the gunas bring an object of knowledge to you. They reveal an object of knowledge, particular knowledge, and they are spread like this, and they are spread in Manushya-loka. Then karmanu anubandhini. So there are karmas which bind. Karmanu anubandhini. Anusantatani. So anusantani means they are spread. So the karmas are also spread as the people are bunch of spread. So it is not that only, so as number of branches are there, as many gunas are there, as many objects are there, as many karmas are there. And the people are bound by the karmas. Right? So its branches are nourished by the gunas. Branches nourished by the gunas with sense objects as their target. And they are spread out below in the Manushya-loka. And this is what these are karmas which bind the world of the mortals. Okay. So what are the branches of the tree? Some are extended, some are short. See, if you look at the branch, right, not one branch is uniform, correct? Some branches are very, very long, which goes right up to the, and some are very short branch. Some are extended, some are short, some are blunt, some are crooked, some are tapering like this. All sorts of things are available, correct? So, prasutta means that which is spread across. And tasya shakaha. So, that kind of branch which is, that the branches, tasya shakaha, guna pravruddha, that which is endowed with these gunas, vishaya pravalaha. So, those are the one which is governing the objects. And adascha moolan anusantatani. Adaha means what? Down. Urdhva means up. Correct. Urdhvaya namaha, adharaya namaha. Bhumi namaha. Correct. We have, right? Sandhyana Darkulya. Urdhvaya namaha, adharaya namaha. Means what? Adaha means down. Urdhva means up. So adaha, adaha cha, moolanya. Moolani means what? The root. So the roots which are anusantatani, they are diffused and they are all entwined. So, so entwined. So you cannot separate the roots, you cannot unwind it because they are all tied like murkin recovery. Right? So when you have like this, how do you unfold it? You cannot do anything. You only cut it. You cannot, simple thing also, even in case of Punal also, if you don't do the right way, see, you know that when you buy Punal from India, and if you don't know how to unfold it or how to do it, you try to pull the way you want it, it will go in all, you cannot unfold it at all. It's a problematic thing because you have to have a technique of even binding it and there's a way of unfolding it also, correct? If you try to not do it correctly, it'll get entangled and then you end up, frustration, you just say, my God, what happens? So you try to pull one hair here, one other one comes out. You cannot do anything with this. So ultimately, what you take another set. You discard the old set, take another one. Same way here also, it says here, adascha, adaha, adascha, moolani anusantatani. So anusantatani means what? Diffused and they are entangled or spread out everywhere. Now, karmanu bandhini. So because of this, the mortals are bound by the karmas. And which loka? Manusya loka. Because karma cannot be done in Indra loka. Karma can be done only in Manusya loka. Right? That's why we always have, we can only do all karmas here only. We cannot do karma in Pitru loka, etc. I can't go on Brahma loka, I can't do karma at all. Because there is no instrument there. There is nothing available like this. So, Manusya loke. So, karmanu bandhini Manusya loke. So, the pravritta talks about, the branches, sometimes they got small branches coming out, long ones coming out. Some of them, if you look at the branches, some of them they fall. Some of them they grow new because new karmas come into existence, new activities come into existence, it gives rise to new branches. Correct? And it is a consecutive process of old things falling up, new things coming up, old things falling up, new things coming up. Old flowers go out, new flowers come. Old fruits followed automatically, new fruits come. Right? So it's a cyclical thing and it is happening only in the Manusya loka. Right? So one sense object will go, another will come over because new karmas will gain new body. So the branches which are taking new birth coming out, they are supposed to be compared to the jiva taking birth in a new body. So new branches are coming out, old branches fall. You can see. Sometimes in your driveway you will see a big branch falls. And if you happen to be sitting under the, standing there without knowing, you can go to Paramapadam state also. The other day I saw a huge branch in my, and the thick branch, anyone would have stayed there, it was only that much long. But somehow from the gum tree, which is very famous in Australia here, and you are not supposed to do anything with that gum tree, and they get old and the branches just fall. And the branches fall in because there's a new branch already taken rise already. Right? The old branch will not fall just because it is falling down. There's actually a new branch which is pushing the pressure, and by which the old branch has to fall. Same way, the new karmas are coming, pushing. Right? And that is why the new karmas are pushing. That is why the physical body also goes. Lot of things are the bank balance are there. So what they do, they're clamoring for this. See, the person is going to go now, and I need to take birth this body. So all the karmas are clamoring. Right? That's what it says here. That pravritta. Right? So pravalaha. So vishaya pravalaha means what? These small shoots of branch which are coming out. Right? Right. So the karmas which are there, karma anubandhi means they are bound by these karmas which are happening in the Manushya Loka. And these karmas are what? Born out of raga dveshas, adrishtafalam and drishtafalam. And one has to enjoy this. Right? So this samsara tree is deep rooted because it keeps falling off and coming again. Because you cannot say the entire tree will be gone. You will see the tree there for long, long time. You will be there, your children will be there, your grandchildren will be there, upon the tree. And the tree would have undergone change in terms of foliage, in terms of age, in terms of everything else, but the tree still will be there. Unless you chop the tree. Correct? Even if you chop the tree, also the roots continue to exist underground. Correct? It is underground. So the samsara tree is like, that which has already gone under. So you are trying to trace where it is and you cannot find it. So what do? You chop the trunk, saying that, I removed all the branches, I removed all of them, fruits, but what? Even if you cut it also, there will be something coming from the roots, from the ground. There will be something else coming up because it is what samsara is. Because these karmas are there which make you do activities and will give you new life again and again. So karmanu bandhi manashya loke. It talks about it. Is it clear? Okay, that's why these two are important. It just talks about, then in next verse talks about how to cut this tree of samsara. It's not like Sheikh Chili, Sheikh Chili story. So it's like you are sitting on the branch and cutting the branch itself, thinking that so the whole you will also fall, the branch also will fall together. So if you want to be safe, what do? You go to the other side of the branch and then cut the branch from that side. So you don't fall when the branch falls. But here it talks about cutting the branch or the tree, not with the axe, because cutting the axe will kill the tree to some extent, but again, spring again. So how do? You completely remove the tree completely from the base. So you have to look at all the source of all the branches which are there, which are all the karmas. You identify the karmas, you finish the karmas, you say that I don't have no karmas to do, you destroy or remove all those things, thereby the tree is removed. Correct. Unless you do that, it will keep sprouting again and again. Right. So you'll have to understand the source of the branch itself, which is the karmas. Karma itself has to be removed slowly one by one in jnana. Then only you can cut this samsara tree. That's what it talks about next verse. Is it clear? Any questions from anyone so far? All clear. Radhaji, you're okay? All okay?
Yeah, fine. Thank you. Following.
You are from Coimbatore, right?
Coimbatore only.
So, Arshivita Gurukulam, you know the process, right?
Yeah, I know.
So, money just so when they'll ring a bell. So, we're supposed to go there and wait. You cannot consume any food there unless Swamiji comes and those people chant everything, and then only you have to eat. You have to eat quickly because you do not have much time.
She used to come there for our Parayana class also.
Ah,
Bhagavad Gita and also Narayana.
correct. It's a difficult life there. I mean, difficult means like, if you're not used to it, it will be tough there. Because right from 5:30 in the morning till about 9:30, you'll be busy. Activity after activity, class after class, homework after homework, 3 years in a row. And you'll become a very tough person, like going to military. So you go to the military, what you do? Once you go to the military and you come out, you become a tough person, correct? Nobody can shake you. The routine is so tough that you cannot even go back to the old routine. So either you're only live with that routine. That's why once you finish that course, or when you finish even anything of that sort, which is not necessarily going to Gurukulam, but studying for the long period of time, intensely studying for that period of time, then you cannot think of going back to other lifestyle. You will not be interested also. You may be temporarily interested, but then you will find that, no, I think workout. So you just come back. That is what Shastram will do to you. Over a period of time, you will also become the same manner, dispassionate, disconnected, disoriented to some extent with the family, other things are there. And sometimes dispassionate also, which is important for us.
But it is very difficult to overcome all the other two gunas, no, sir. Sattva guna we want to achieve, of course, that is there.
Correct.
But Tamo and Rajo guna, that's a part of our life only. No?
You cannot see, in fact, the reality is you cannot actually overcome. See, overcoming means what? Managing it.
Managing it.
You cannot actually drop any guna, neither you can say that I'll avoid this guna. See, you cannot
to keep it under control.
See, when you say Rajo guna, you know when you're Rajos. This means what? Activity. So when you know that you are spending too much time running around things, acting around things, then you have to understand whether this activity which I'm doing is taking me in the right direction or not. So if the activity which you're pursuing is giving you jnanam, then that is also okay, acceptable. But if the activity which you're pursuing is only taking you to some other direction, like going to temples, visiting temples, doing parayanam, chanting, this, that, constructing temples, donation, tirth yatra, all those things which are there, you can do those things, but then what will happen is you will actually miss the essence of study. Correct. So you will have to understand how much you should go and how much you should not go. Correct. There's a balance. And slowly over a period of time, you have to somehow restrict this activity because all these things
bring everything under control then.
Correct. You have to manage it. See, tamas
manage it.
Class you feel like getting out and going out, all the things will come. So all these are also tapas. See, it's all discipline. Right? See, if a camera, we do not know. See, Gopalji, I can see. Sridhar I can see.
But you cannot see us.
That's why sometimes I ask the question in the Sasama class, are you all awake or not? He said, no, we are all awake.
Maybe I think you have a doubt whether we are there or not.
No, you're all there, I know, but what condition is there, we do not know. See, some people, because I see people like this, it's not that I'm not blaming you, because
no, without interest, we can't come and sit, no, Anji.
Huh?
Unless you have a kind of interest in all this learning, Veda, everything, we cannot come and sit, no.
Correct. No, that is sitting is one thing. See, for a lot of people also what they do. See, I'm not. They dial in. See, when they will be going they will be in the beach somewhere, or there will be some other place there. And they do not want to be seen with the teacher in the situation. So the safest way is to go off camera. Correct. So when you go off camera means you are not known. Correct. Traditionally speaking, in the Gurukulam also, the teacher will ask you to be present in person. Correct. So because of Zoom, etc., the technology there, you got all these options. But in reality, if you go to the class, I cannot sit out on the bench there and say that I want to listen to the class inside. You have to be physically present in the class. Otherwise, you will not be, and they will close the door. They will lock the door. See, after some time, if you cannot enter the door, when the class starts after 10 minutes, if you're late, then you will not be allowed to enter the class because it is not possible. So you'll have to wait in this whole class. So what I'm trying to tell you is, you can choose to do what, I'm not saying, I know you're attending there, Sometimes, like, the expression from the tamoguna I can see, and it is okay to sleep also. It is okay to sleep in the class than not attending the class. So I always fully encourage that if you feel tired and if you feel that you want to sleep, is okay. Because it is okay. It's accepted. Anyway, so Radhaji, the basic thing is the gunas itself cannot be dropped. You can only manage them. And managing means what you have to juggle with them such a way that it doesn't actually stop your pursuit of your Atmagyan. If anything which is stopping you, then you'll have to work on it. So you'll have to study it and to say that, okay, see, the Pandanama, do I need this activity or not?
No.
Do I need to do this? Or should is there any way I can, drop something, or I can rejuggle something, or I can deprioritize something, correct? So if you're going to 100 activities or 50 activities, in a year, you can say, I'll only do 10 activities in a year, or 20 activities in a year. You start scaling down. And when you start scaling down, you will find yourself more time, because when you have more time, you will be able to use this for these kind of things.
That's true.
And Satvikam rises, then Rajasikam reduces. Tamoguna is not there at all, because Tamoguna will be there.
Yes.
When you're tired of all the Satvikam, Rajasikam, Tamoguna will be there. We have to have Tamoguna.
That's natural.
Otherwise, we can't be surviving. We cannot.
Yeah.
We don't have the energy to be 24/7 awake and do activities. So the Bhagavan has given that particular skill set. That you forget about yourself. So because everybody wants sleep, right? What do you expect to sleep? See, you work the whole day, and what do you pray? They may ask anything. They don't want. He says, see, do you want to sleep well or you want to eat well? What do you say? I want to sleep well, right? Because if you don't sleep well, you will not, your body will not be energetic. You need to have the energy to come back next day morning, and the energetic, correct? All the body cells are there. They are all doing their activities. Brain is working, heart is working, blood vessels are working. Everything is working very hard, and they also complaining to you that give me some rest. So what they do, they collapse. They don't even ask you. See, you can stay awake like this. Sometimes you'll see people sitting there and lecture ordering there. Sometimes I'll tell, Paramarthana Katindrupar, Omkarana Katindrupar, our part of Kadala Partundruva. So my own wife also, sometimes I switch off. Said, our Pavam Katindrupa into Ukutu. Because he goes to bed with that. She will Kadala Partundruva tired of everybody. I said 9:30 at 10 o'clock, 10:30. Finally, at 11 o'clock, Omkarana will shut down, because forcibly will shut it down. Because he will be continuing discussing. It's recording then, our messenger. We can continue. But then we cannot continue. So what I'm trying to tell is, you have to shut down at some point of time. And then, so very important. So managing gunas is important. See, gunas are part and parcel of our package. You cannot, nobody can say that I don't have these gunas. Even Jnani also cannot refute saying that I don't have. No, everybody has gunas. They also feel tired. They are also human, because it is connected to the physical body. But managing is important. That person is called Brahma Bhuya Kalpate. We saw, right? So that person is fit for becoming or taking ownership as that Brahman, and then working towards that knowledge. Okay. Is it clear?
Yeah, clear. Thank you, sir.
Jayama, you're okay, right?
Okay, thank you.
So we'll
Swamini class 9 attend பண்ணங்க. இப்போ 14 ல இருந்து உங்களுக்கு கண்டினியூ பண்றோம்.
Continue பண்ணுங்க. If you continue the class wherever you are, because still continue. So Om Purnamadah Purnamidham Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tatsat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Namaste. Shubhratri to all of you. For the Tamil class people, tomorrow I'll see Shivanyana Bodham class.
Thank you.